Hey, it's Erin from Book Things and Baubles, and today I'm going to try and find the best way to fill engraved leather. So if you saw my video a couple weeks ago about engraving leather, you'll know that this is something that I'm kind of experimenting a little more with. Wood is more my wheelhouse when it comes to the Glowforge and materials that I use in the Glowforge, but I decided to branch out and try leather. So I made these luggage tags, then I decided that luggage tags might be something I want to sell in my shop, but I want to find a way to make them more colorful. I know that there's embossing, and that's usually how people get colorful things onto leather, but I want to see if I can figure out a way to get, like, I don't know, paint, what the best way to get acrylic paint and stuff into my engraved leather, get it to stay, all that good stuff. So you're kind of joining me as I am experimenting with leather to see what I can do. So I bought some really cute luggage tags from Amazon that are colorful. I've got some dark blue and I've got some pink, and I have done a little bit of experimenting already that did not go very well. And I'll show that to you now. So this is my first attempt at paint filling leather, and as you can see, it did not turn out very good. There's a little bit of color on that middle one, but the paint didn't stick on the other two. And I don't know if that's just because of the paint that I used, but anyway, this did not turn out the way I wanted it to. The middle CTR I tried to fill with some gold leather paint that I got from Michael's. Then the bottom one I tried to fill with some silver sparkly leather paint that I also found at Michael's. And then the top one I tried to fill in just with a brush without masking on after the fact, and then wiped the paint off, and obviously the paint didn't stick very well inside the engraving. So that's kind of my first experiment and how it went. Obviously it didn't quite go the way I want. And then here is the paint I used. Like I said, I found this at Michael's. I thought that like sparkly gold and sparkly silver would look really good with the colors of luggage tags that I chose, which is why I decided to buy them. But looking back, I think that these are literally just sparkles. So I figured it would be like gold paint with sparkles or silver paint with sparkles, but I think that it literally is just sparkles in clear paint. And so that might be another reason why it didn't work out very well. So they did have gold just paint, leather studio paint, and silver studio paint at the store, but each of these cost like $5, and so I didn't want to spend a ton of money. I figured that these would be what I wanted, but it just turns out I'm a little dumb. So don't make the same mistake I did. So if the acrylic paint doesn't work, maybe I'll go back to Michael's and see how this works with the other colors. So yeah, that was my first attempt at paint filling engraved leather, and I was trying to just do it on the strap so that, you know, hopefully I could figure out what works on the strap and then save the actual luggage tags for like selling for product. But I'm kind of resigning myself to the fact that these are going to be experimental and not the ones that end up actually going in my shop, which is fine. I should have expected that from the beginning. So anyway, join me as I try and figure out the best way to color fill leather that I engrave in the Glowforge. And if you work with leather or have any tips for me about the best way to go about this, please leave a comment down below. Like I said, leather is not my wheelhouse, so any communal knowledge that you would wish to share and bestow upon me, I would really, really appreciate it. So anyway, let's go. So as I've been prepping and getting ready to start experimenting with filling this leather, the thought occurred to me, maybe I should just use heat transfer vinyl, because I do have a Cricut, I don't really ever use it though. I mostly just work with my Glowforge. So I've never actually used heat transfer vinyl before, but I wonder if that might just be easier than all of this. So we're still gonna experiment, we're still gonna try it out, but if it ends up looking really bad, then my final conclusion might just be use heat transfer vinyl. I don't know, we'll see. But that's just part of my thought process because it seems like a lot of work. But we're gonna do it, we're gonna try. Let's see how it goes. So the first thing I'm going to do is mask my luggage tags. Okay, and these are all covered. I did maybe go a little overboard on covering them, but I'm planning to maybe just try spray painting some of them, and I'm not sure which one I'm gonna end up spray painting yet, so I just wanted to cover them most of the way around just in case they're the one I spray paint, so paint doesn't like bleed under it or, you know, get where it's not supposed to be. But these are all covered now. They are ready to go into the Glowforge. Okay, I've got the first one in there. I decided to do them one at a time so that I have a better chance of making sure the design is actually focused in the center. So yeah, and then I've just got 4 little pins holding it down, but let's see how this goes. Okay, 1 down, 1 to go. Okay, and yes, I know that I was originally gonna do 3, but I really like the pink ones, and so I don't necessarily want to experiment on the pink one. And I have in mind the different techniques that I'm going to try to fill the leather, and I figure I can do them just on the blue ones, because I don't mind if I mess those ones up as much as I do the pink, because I like pink. So I'm just doing 2, but I'm going to try, I think, 3 or maybe 4 different filling techniques. Okay, so the first one we're going to try filling is this one. We're going to use a couple different techniques. First, I have an acrylic paint pen that I'm going to try and fill in the words with, and then I'm going to try and fill in this thicker part with regular acrylic paint. Okay, this one is all done. It looks a little gross on camera, but it looks better in person. But I am noticing that already it's starting to kind of bow up. I don't know if you can see that, but it is starting to kind of distort shape a little bit. There's a big kind of like bubble right there. So we'll see what happens once it's fully dry. But I started doing, you know, the paint pen on this top one, and it was just so tedious. And I've run into this problem before when I've tried to fill acrylic like this, is sometimes it's just really hard to get those paint pens down into the teeny little crevices, which is what happened there. So I got a little impatient and decided to give up on the paint pen, and I just filled in the bottom using a paintbrush. So I think for acrylic paint, like hand painting it, I definitely like the paintbrush better because it's easier to get into all those like little nooks and crannies. Okay, next we are going to try out spray paint filling on our other luggage tag. Oh man, it's been a while since we've done spray painting in the backyard. It's been super hot in Utah, so I haven't really gone outside much, but this is the spray paint that I'm going to be using. It's Krylon, and I figured maybe this lighter blue color would look good on the dark blue, so we're gonna try it and see how it goes. Okay, let's try this out. Can you see that's coloring like everything but the center? And this is why I covered the whole thing. Yeah, that is, if I get closer. Okay, closer is definitely better. Okay, and then we'll try. Okay, that is very spray painted. We'll see how that goes. Okay, now that this one and the other one are all painted, we just have to wait for them to dry. So I'll be back in a few hours with the final results. Y'all, I can already tell that this one is going to be really ugly. It just looks really gross, and it's not coloring in like the leather very well. I don't know, it just, yeah, I don't know if this is going to turn out. But that's why we experiment, and that's why I make these dumb mistakes so that you don't have to. I really am kind of thinking that for me, just the heat transfer vinyl might be easier, which obviously you can't put vinyl in the Glowforge, but if you have a Cricut, I mean, I think that might be the way to go for getting color into or onto the leather. But I think what the Glowforge and engraving is good for is if you have a lighter color leather, so probably the pink. If I just did the pink and didn't try to fill it in, it would probably look pretty good, just because of the contrast, you know, the dark of the engraved spots versus the light pink. So I don't know, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I will attempt and do the pink just to see how it looks without painting and just as it is. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Let's try it. So here's how that unpainted one turned out. I think that looks definitely already a lot better than the painted ones. I wasn't quite able to get all of the masking off just yet. I'll have to go in and just pick that out. But I think that something like this, if I'm not filling it with paint, I probably wouldn't even bother masking it, just because any smoke stains or things that end up on there just come off super easily with alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And then I think the font I chose, with the masking, at least, you can kind of see maybe like there, how there's a line that's supposed to go from the E up to the A that kind of got a little lost. So anyway, I think that without the masking on there, that wouldn't be an issue though. But if I did it without masking, I would not use the thick setting. Instead, just looking at how thick the actual piece of leather is, I would probably go with the medium or even the thin, and that should be just fine. But I think that having the masking on there is what kind of made that light font not engrave all the way. So what are my final thoughts after these experiments today? I think number one is you can't really paint and fill leather. It just isn't gonna work. Hey, it's Erin from like 4 hours in the future. I have a confession to make. I actually reviewed this whole project and decided that it was stupid after I had even let the paint dry on the ones that I hand painted and spray painted, because I was just convinced they weren't gonna look good. But watch this, my reaction after I finally did peel the paint off. Okay, both of these are dry enough that I am going to take the tape off. It's the moment of truth. Okay, I did this one first, and this actually is better than I thought it was gonna be. There was some bleed through underneath, but I am going to see if rubbing alcohol can take that off. And here's the other one. This one also is turning out better than I anticipated. But let me get these cleaned up and I'll show you the final product. Okay, here are the finished products, and I have to admit they turned out better than I was imagining in my head. I had filmed what I said before actually checking the paint, because I was being pessimistic and thinking, oh, this isn't gonna work. And I mean, to be fair, some things didn't work, like this one. The acrylic paint pen part. That just did not turn out very well. So I wouldn't recommend that, but I am really liking how the hand painted turned out. And it turned out well here. And something that surprised me was I thought that the rubbing alcohol is what would be best at getting the extra paint off, but it turned out that tape was the best at getting it out. It was easier to lift up off the leather than it was to rub it off of the leather, if that makes sense. And this Call to Serve turned out a lot better than I thought it would. It still, I mean, doesn't look great. This is where I had to rub off some, and it rubbed some off from the center too, but I mean, that looks pretty good, pretty crisp, I think, for a first try. And like I said, maybe stencils would be the way to go, or maybe just hand painting these letters without the masking, because then you can just get it in there, and anything that's on the edge after it dries, you should just be able to lift off with tape. But honestly, I'm happier than I thought I would be with how those turned out. So I guess it wasn't all wasted. I guess that you can fill with leather. It just takes some patience, which is not my strong suit. And I kind of figured that it was doomed to fail, which is why I ended the video before I actually peeled the paint off and peeled the tape off to see how the painting went, because I was like, oh, it looks horrible. So I guess the moral of the story is don't judge a project until you peel off the masking, and then you can judge a project. But then you can see how to fix a project too. Maybe I will try and hand paint some more color in there to fill it in. But I think probably the most important thing, since I was able to rub the paint off with some rubbing alcohol, I think probably putting a top coat on this will help save it as it goes through airport luggage wear and tear. So I do have a spray paint top coat, so I might just spray the whole thing to kind of seal in the paint. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased. Those turned out better than I thought, and I'm not feeling quite as pessimistic about this video and about how these turned out. They're still not perfect, but this is a step towards perfection. I don't know, maybe it's just me, and because I've worked with wood for so long and, beige tones and stuff, I just worry that some of my products might be a little boring to people because they aren't as colorful as stuff that's maybe cut out of vinyl. It's just engraved wood, and I think that's really pretty, and I think that there are certain people who like it, but I guess maybe I'm just a little insecure about how not colorful all of my products are. So I'm trying to find ways to incorporate color. Probably in the next couple weeks I'll do a video on paint filling wood, because I've been watching videos and kind of experimenting with that. And then someday I want to experiment with paint filling acrylic. I've tried a couple times, you guys saw the example from earlier, but it just has not worked out very well for me, and there could be several reasons for that. But so if you have any tips on paint filling acrylic, paint filling wood, anything like that, please leave them in the comments as I continue to experiment. I would love to hear what you think. And what do you think about paint filling leather? Was that just like a pipe dream? I think maybe something else you could do with the Glowforge is maybe create like a stencil out of wood or something that then you could paint maybe with the leather paint on the actual leather, which is what I think it's more for, instead of to like fill engraved leather. So maybe there's that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I never think that days like this are wasted, because I've learned a lot about what you can and can't do with leather. And that's part of the fun, is just experimenting and learning and growing in the Glowforge and expanding your horizons with the materials and the capabilities and possibilities with it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like and please consider subscribing. I make videos like this every single Wednesday, and I would love to see you back as I talk more about the Glowforge and experiments and things like that. Also, if you are considering purchasing a Glowforge, I would really appreciate it if you use my referral link down in the description box. This gives you money off of the Glowforge, and it also gives me credits, which really help me and my small business. So I appreciate if you would use my referral link, and I appreciate those of you who have used my referral link. Thank you. So I hope that you all have a great day, and I will see you next week. Bye.